All right, concluding my double feature patron request. First, we dealt with The Flowers in the Attic, and they always do a very good job at pairing these types of films. So this one is Yorgos Lanthimos' Dogtooth, which I had never seen. I have seen The Lobster. I have seen The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I have seen The Kinds of Kindness. And I have seen Poor Things, which is a masterpiece, in my opinion, and one of the great films of the last decade. My favorite film of the year that it came out, which was 2023, I think. Phenomenal fucking film. I have not seen The Favorite. I have not seen the one he made after this, which is like a 3-letter word that I'm blanking on the title of right now. Maybe it starts with an A, something like that. And then, if I'm misremembering, I think there is one more thing, but I don't remember what it is at the moment. And then he's got that, however you pronounce that B word title, whatever the fuck, with Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons coming out here soon. And I'm really looking forward to that because I really loved Poor Things, as I said, and I really enjoyed the hell out of Kinds of Kindness. And I really want to watch The Favorite, but I just haven't yet, and I'm going to, and I'm going to pair that with Emma because of Anya Taylor-Joy and Mia Goth being in the same film once again. Marrowbone is another one that they did together, but this is one that I haven't seen, and they seem like they'd go together because of the time period. Anyways, moving on, Dogtooth. This is a really, really, really fucked up film. Really, really, like, pornographic at times. Like, the actors are clearly fucking, like, straight up. We even see, like, a full blowjob. Like, that one's on screen. It's not the actors, but you literally, like, see porno of a girl sucking a guy's dick, and the whole works. I was like, wow. I guess because it's a Greek film, obviously here we'd never get that on screen in a theater unless it was unrated, which that's rare. You don't get many unrated films in theaters outside of the Terrifier films, and I think Silent Night, Deadly Night's getting an unrated release, I think, and isn't Toxic Avenger also getting an unrated release here this month? But yeah, just something like this, you don't see it, right? You don't see it much, and it's these art house indie movies that really push the envelope and go wild, and yeah, it's a crazy film, but it's also a really great like kind of commentary on the dangers of parenting and how kids, like babies, are so vulnerable and malleable, and it's terrifying, and it really should make people reflect on their own internal views of the world, right? Because we literally, like, craft our reality. There is our form of reality, whatever was taught to us, whatever we then learned outside of that, and that's why education is so important. That's why learning about history and all of these things is so important, because it takes a village, right? It shouldn't be up to just, one small group, one small section of society. You need that's why you see in more rural areas much more of a conservative outlook of, like, being more old school, being more like family oriented, and everything's like very small scale in how they view things, and there's a lot of racism, and there's a lot of xenophobia, and there's a lot of that stuff. And then when you branch out and you get to a bigger city and you get into a more of a melding pot kind of situation, and you have more experiences, I think that's what really enlightens people, is having exposure to others, right? To other cultures, to other sexual orientations, to other belief systems, religious or otherwise. Because once you actually get to know some of those people, you go, oh, well, they're not the evil bastards that I was taught. I mean, some of them might be, right? Not the entire groups of them, but like some of the individuals within any type of subgroup, of course, can be an asshole. But the more you expose yourself to them, that's how a lot of like people flip on their homophobia or whatever, is that they have a kid who's gay, and then it like goes, well, my kid can't be bad. I love my kid. My kid's the best. And then they start to kind of open their mind, or they get a friend. Their parents are very homophobic, and then their friend at school they find out they're gay, and they're like, well, I mean, they don't seem terrible. And the more they get to know them, the more it opens their mind, right? So exposure is great for opening people up. And this movie, my God, it is a perfect kind of encapsulation of indoctrination. And it's terrifying, because you have this patriarchy, father figure who controls the mother and the 3 children that he has, and they live in this like kind of compound, so to speak, and the shit that he teaches them, their whole world view, if you even want to call it that, is so perverted. It is so disconnected from any sense or semblance of reality. And it is just devastating to see, because we know from examples in the world that people like this exist, right? Like, there are humans, there are parents that take advantage of their children like this and give them this worldview, or take away any outside influence, and completely manipulate and gaslight them about all things. And this movie's to the extreme for sure, but do I believe this is possible? Do I believe that this movie is too fictional to be real? No, I think the only thing that separates fiction from reality a lot of the times is just it happening. It just feels like, nah, this can't be real. But in our current political landscape, I think that we are all starting to learn that pretty much anything is possible. Like, any kind of belief, any kind of contradiction, any hypocrisy that you're like, no, come on, somebody couldn't be that dense. Yes, they can, and even more so than you might think, right? Sometimes I'm surprised, because I'm like, man, I didn't think it would be this bad, and it's even worse than I could have ever perceived. So that's all it takes. So yeah, I mean, this guy's fucking so awful. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent. I have a bunch of notes here, but I was telling my wife about this movie this morning, and she was like, I'm so glad I didn't watch that. That would have upset me greatly. This whole movie sounds like a nightmare, and it is, right? And this is what we talk about, like, when it comes to the horror genre and the label, and kind of what constitutes as horror and what doesn't. And I'm not saying this is a horror movie. It isn't. It's a psychological drama for sure. But the things that are happening in here, the implications, are so much worse than your garden variety everyday horror film, right? What's happening in here feels so believably unreal, right? What I just said, where it feels like this can't be possible. But then, you look at stories like Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who finally got out of jail, or I don't even think it was jail, it was more of a rehabilitation center is what she really needed. But if you haven't looked into that story, for some reason you don't know that story, you can watch either the documentary on, I think, HBO, or you can watch the dramatization, retelling of the story on Hulu called The Act, which is it's maddening to watch. It really is unbelievable, but it really happened. And the Act, the TV show, is pretty spot on to the detailed reports in that documentary. And when you see how much a parent, like what lengths they'd go to manipulate, to harm their child for their own benefit, for whatever sick gain, pleasure, whatever the fuck they're getting out of it. You know, obviously in that scenario, it's Munchausen by proxy. I mean, this is similar-ish. This is a power trip, but he's taking these kids and he's completely perverting and you know, just, oh my God, it's frustrating and angering to even think about, because I would never want this obviously to happen to anybody. But these kids are having their entire world warped to fit whatever bullshit he wants to feed them, right? They're living on this compound. They believe the outside world is you can't go to it. The only way that you can get there is by car, and the only way that you can leave the compound is when your Dogtooth, either the right or the left, doesn't matter, falls out and then grows back. Which, of course, as we know, never happens, because that's not how human teeth work. Now, I guess it depends on what age he taught this to them at, because when you're a kid, you do have all of your child teeth, and your canines eventually fall out and they do grow back. So I would have, as a kid, been like, yo, what's going on? How come? And it's like, no, your adult dog teeth, I guess, is probably what it is. But yeah, they're not allowed to view the outside world. He leaves. He goes to work. Of course, he's in the modern world. He's lying to them, obviously. But they're living in like the village from M. Night Shyamalan's film, essentially, and except for it's not more like, you know, rustic and more like Amish in nature. This is more of a modern household, but still, it feels like that kind of isolation purposefully. And with these people, it's like, you know, there's so many elements to this film. There's so much going on in here on how we can distort reality, how much we can change language, we can change identity, we can change viewpoints, everything. Like he makes them listen to this tape that's this like recording of their teachings, it's their schooling, and it's all these like perversions of language and teaching them you know, different words for different things. Just part of the indoctrination. Just it's a part of control, right? Where they refer to their, you know, their genitals, or at least the girls do, as their keyboard, right? The one girl asks what a pussy is because she sees it on the back of a porn cover that her parents had and they weren't supposed to see, and she's like, she refers to it as something along the lines of like a light, like if you go into the room and douse the lights, you're like turning out the pussy. Like, so all of their context for language is distorted. They think, which is, that doesn't sound like that awful. It's like, oh, well, you know, it's a tree, and it's like, no, it's a car. Like, what does it matter? Like, it matters because it's pure manipulation, right? I'm not saying anybody's sitting here being like, oh, that's not that bad. There's so much worse, obviously. This is just one single part, right? But that really got to me, because it is true. You can, obviously, like I have kids, and you tell them that Santa Claus is real, you tell them that the Easter Bunny is real, you tell them whatever, and they're going to believe you, because of course they will, because, you know, the world to them is nothing until you shape it for them, right? So Harry Potter can go to Hogwarts because in that world magic exists, and we on the outside watching the film, we're like, well, magic doesn't exist. And it's like, well, yeah, that's true, but we don't know that when we're born, right? We could come into any world with any kind of physics imaginable, right? And your brain at that young age, it will just accept whatever it is. There's flying people, people can control the weather with a thought and be like, okay, I'm going to make it rain. And that's like just how things are. As a kid, you're just going to grow up and be like, that's normal. It's not going to be abnormal to you because that's your reality. And that's just what's happening in this movie, is that they're literally taking their reality and they're warping it. And it is so evil. It is so fucking evil. And the one son, there is only one son, but the son, the father, for whatever reason, I'm not honestly sure exactly why. I have some thoughts on this, but he hires the security guard from his work, who's a woman, to come over to the house and to fuck his son. Just literally like brings her in the room and is like, okay, do your thing. And she gets in the bed and she lets him fuck her. And then she's like after a little while of doing this, she becomes very dissatisfied with the exchange. So she tries to like get him to go down on her, and he's not having it. He's just kind of like a classic boy, because that's just it. The kids in this, who are like in their 20s, they act very, very juvenile, like children, because he's purposely repressing their maturity. So yeah, he's just like, he likes the feeling of fucking her, and he's like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not, I want to come, right? So he's just like, give me what I want. And then she goes to the older sister's room, and convinces her to go down on her for like a headband, a sparkly headband. And then every time she comes over, she's like trying to convince her with little trinket presents, something from the outside world, to lick down here. And of course she's just doing it like a child. She has no idea what the hell she's doing, and this girl's basically taking advantage of children, and being paid to do so, although the dad of course doesn't know that's going on. You would think that once she was done, he would immediately grab her and take her out of the house, and they would have no interactions with her, but regardless, she does. And then this kind of changes the daughter, right? She starts to go to the sister, and there's an exchange of like, if you do this for me, I want you to lick me here, but it's nothing sexual to them. It's just kind of like they're mirroring outside influence. And so it's like, to her, she doesn't really have any idea of like her womanhood, right? She's just like not having her lick her vagina. It's like, here, lick my elbow or my shoulder. And then it's like her, her fucking waist, or wherever. Even so much so that later in the movie, the young daughter comes into the dad's room and wakes him up by like licking his chest, because she's just, is conditioned to believe that that's like something people want. But yeah, so there's just there's so much going on in this fucking film. There's just so many terrible things. The dad convinces them that the dangerous predator that's out there is a cat, and that their older brother, is beyond the wall, and they like to try to like throw him supplies. And then after a kitten makes its way into the yard, the brother stabs it to death with like gardening shears. And then the dad comes home, after cutting his clothes up and pretending he was been injured out in the world. He comes home and tells them like, your brother died, he was attacked by a cat, and then trains them to bark like dogs. He's trying to get his dog back from the trainer the whole movie, and the trainer's just like, he's not ready yet. Do you want a friend or an animal, some shit like that? But like, anyway, he like then teaches his kids how to, and his wife too, who's in on this shit with them. So I can't get a read on the wife, because she's totally bought into his shit as well. He's absolutely like a low-level, small-town cult leader. That's how this plays out for sure. And she's like fully bought in, which is, unfortunately, all too believable and true. Look at all the moms that took their kids to Jonestown and gave them the Flavor Aid first. Yes, I will call it Flavor Aid, because that is accurate. They did not drink Kool-Aid. It was Flavor Aid. Fun fact. But yeah, if anybody doesn't believe that a parent would do this to their kids, I mean, just look at historical precedents, of course. Anyway, so yeah, when he teaches, so as I said, I don't know what to make of the mom. She's just fully bought into it. She also perpetuates the lie to the kids. So for what gain, I don't know. There's a lot of like sexual stuff with them. We see, all of them. We see all of the actors. I forgot to mention that the youngest daughter in this actually died at the age of 29. Terrible. She just had some kind of physical issue and died. Some kind of edemia. I think it was something like that. But yeah, it was shocking because I went to look her up. I went to look up all of them, see what they've been up to, and was shocked to find out that this girl was dead. I mean, she's so fucking young. Terrible. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of the mother's character. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what to say. She's awful. I want her and her husband dead for sure. I don't think that prosecuting and arresting them is even worth anybody's time. These are the kinds of people that just need to be wiped out. There's no rehabilitating someone like this. There's no reason why they should get to live any kind of life after this. This is just as villainous as humanly possible. But yeah, when he's like training them to bark like dogs, and then they like go to the fence when he's driving, and he like opens up the gate, and they're like all sitting on their hands and their knees and barking at the gate because that's supposed to scare the cats away on the outside. As far as like why the dad makes the security guard fuck his son randomly here and there, I think it's supposed to, I can only assume, although this, I don't know. I thought maybe it was because he wanted to try to squash any potential incest that could pop up because they're, they're blossoming young adults, and of course they get those urges, and nature takes over, and whether you're taught about it or not, you're gonna get the desires, and instinctually you're gonna want to have sex. And I don't know if that's the case, because after that girl lends the older daughter, she lends her copy of Rocky and Jaws, which completely taints her entire world. Like, she becomes a completely different person after she watches that shit. She's like attacking the brother in the pool, man eater. She just completely loses it. And then anyway, when the father finds out about it, he like tapes the VHS tapes to his hands and beats the daughter with it. Which, those are those types of scenes where these actors really committed to this role, because not only does it seem like they actually fucked on screen, which is a huge ask from an actor, like, hey, can you fuck your co-star, like, for real? Maybe they didn't. Maybe he didn't put his dick in her, but dude, he was hard. We see his dick, it's completely hard. She's fully naked, and then he puts it, like, he has to put that thing somewhere, and he's sliding, like, we see her hip is covering it, but he's going in and out, and he's not low enough to go under her, he's not high enough where we'd see it on her stomach, so I don't know where else it could go. Like, it's inside of her, it has to be, right? Maybe not, maybe something, I don't know, but regardless, yeah, where the hell was I going with that? They committed to these roles for sure, because when he hits her with that VHS tape, I would assume maybe that thing was made of some kind of breakable material that was softer or something, but he hits her with that shit really hard, and it's all in one take, and it's pretty up close, and it looks like a real VHS tape, and he's hitting her in the head, and I don't know how else you do it than to just, as I said, you have to make some kind of VHS tape that's more soft material or something. But if I taped a VHS tape to my hand and beat you with it, brutal. But then when he finds that out, he goes and he confronts the security guard by hitting her over the head with her VCR. He doesn't kill her. He's just mad and feels betrayed. And he's like, you can't trust anyone anymore, says this fucking asshole. But yeah, he then goes home, and the wife and him are kind of talking about it, and like, what do we do? And she's like, or he's like, well, I think it's probably going to have to, uh, go over the responsibilities are going to, fall onto one of the sisters. And so then there's this scene where he's in the bathtub and he's like blindfolded or his eyes are closed because with the security guard he blindfolds her to bring her to the compound and back so she doesn't know where he lives even though they work together. So once he beat her over the head with the VCR, she would have went to the cops and been like, the guy I work with did this to me. It doesn't matter if they know where he lives, they know where he works. He's becoming to work. So why she wouldn't go to the cops for that, I have no idea. But regardless, this is more of like a commentaries kind of thing, so I don't think you're supposed to think of things too logically. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, he gets in the bathtub and he's blindfolded or his eyes closed. I think it's just his eyes are closed. I can't remember, but regardless, he can't see. And both of the sisters get into the tub with him naked. And he like feels the tits and then the ass of the first one and then the tits and the ass of the second one, and this is like his selection process of which one he wants to start fucking, and this is just so disturbing. And then the next scene is him fucking his older sister, and then she goes like has this kind of movie quote of sorts where she's like, don't you ever do that to me again. And that's it. That's the final fucking straw for this sister. She's like, she did not like it at all. I wonder why. And so she has this fucking freak out dance where it's like this gyration, like anger, frustration dance or something in front of her family. And then she goes in the bathroom, knocks out her dog tooth, and goes and hides in the trunk of her dad's car. The dad's freaking out. He drives to work in the morning because he thinks that she's ran away and is dead or doesn't know. And then we linger on the trunk for a little while, and we think like, is she going to come out? Is she not? And then the movie ends. As far as the ending of the movie, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if she bled out. Right, she died from blood loss, or if she suffocated, or because she doesn't understand the mechanisms of things. She's very childish. She might not know that there is no inside latch to get the damn thing open. Although I feel like if that was the case, you'd see the trunk like moving around like a lot, like she wouldn't be able to get it out. It did look like the car was moving a little bit. I was trying to really focus on the car, and it did look like there was some movement to the car, so that suggested to me she was alive. And I like to believe that, she just waited a little while to make sure her dad was gone, and then eventually she just opened up the trunk, got out, and exposed him for the fucking criminal villain that he is. That's my hope, right? That's my desired outcome. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's just a guess. Did she die? Did she could she not get out? Did she pass out? Did she, one of their, like, the shit they do for fun, which is like, holding their fingers under the tap water until they, one of them, the last one keeps their finger in, burning themselves on the hottest setting. The two daughters are in their room and are chloroforming each other because the daughter has found, like, she wants to be like a doctor, and so she like plays doctor on her sister, and then she's like, let's, she's like, I have a new mixture, and they sit there and she's like, whoever wakes up first wins, and they like black out, and one blacks out with the friggin' chloroform rag still on her face, and I'm like, would that not kill you if you just kept a chloroform rag on your face filled with that? Would that not just, your respiration would just get so low that you would just stop breathing? I don't know. I'm not a fucking doctor, so I don't know. But I was just like, holy shit. One of the punishments that they have in this movie is that the guy, the brother, has to just hold mouthwash in his mouth until the mom lets him spit it out. And if you've ever, I think that's mouthwash. Maybe it's a different kind of concoction, but if you've ever held mouthwash in your mouth for too long, it starts to really burn. So he doesn't hold it in his mouth that long in the movie, though. To be completely honest, honestly, that wouldn't do it. So that makes me think that it's a different mixture that's burning him. But then there's this really weird thing. Everything in the fucking movie is really weird. Although I was expecting that with this, so I was, because of the director, I was prepared. I had a feeling this was going to be what it was, and I wasn't surprised. But there's this really weird game that they play where like they're all like walking around, once again eyes closed or blindfolded, whichever, and they're like their mom's in the center of the yard, and she's like announcing the time, like how many minutes it's been, like 2 minutes, 5 seconds, whatever. And they're all trying to like make their way to her, which I feel like that would be really easy, but regardless, it takes them almost 5 minutes. And they all just come over, and the aim of the game is to find it to mom and just to give her a long hug, which is like, I don't know, that feels super fucked up to me, because it's like you have to earn you know like in embrace, what's the word I'm trying to think of right now, not comfort or solace, I don't know why I can't think of this word right now. Shit, I hate when that happens. There's one thing that's distracting me, is that there's like a ice cream truck. Can you guys hear that in the audio? There's like an ice cream truck that's sitting right down at the foot of my freaking apartment, I think. I'm assuming kids ran up and are trying to buy ice cream from him right now, or he's abducting some kids or something. I don't know. Oh, I think he's finally... Okay, he's gone. Affection. Affection's the word I'm thinking of, man. When you get distracted, your brain straight up just can't think. When you find out that these kids are like being given stickers for their good behavior, and whoever has the most stickers is like the praised one, and whoever has the least stickers gets like punishment. Oh my god, there's just so much in this movie. But as I said, it really just comes down to, the dangers of lack of education, lack of exposure. This is why the education is so important. We already talked about this. This is these like weirdos. My kids are homeschooled, funny enough, but there's people who homeschool their kids to, impart upon them some of their like insanity, like just straight up worldviews that are and it sucks, because who am I to say, right? Like, I'm not the authority on what's righteous and what's good and what's right and moral, and I know I'm not. Sometimes my ego definitely convinces me that I am, and I sit there, and this is that like delusions of grandeur. This is that kind of God complex that some of us can get, or all of us can get at one point, where you're just like, if everyone was like me, things would be so much better, or if everyone thought like me, things would be so much better. And I've definitely been there. Many times. But at the end of the day, I know that individuality is good. I think that different cultures and all those things is good for the world. Intolerance is the problem. Now, of course, if people suck, if people are doing terrible things, if they're killing people, if they're hurting people, if whatever. Now, we all have different versions of what that is. Like, you're hurting my kid with being a drag queen or something stupid like that. It's like that's not hurting kids. But there's people who truly believe that's the case. Anyway, anything else that I missed here? I tried to knock out most things here. I think I got everything. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. But man, what a rough watch. What a fucking what a grim depiction of a man who has a chokehold on his family's ability to have autonomy. It's sickening. It really is. Like, I try my best, because I have very strong beliefs, right? I fall very strong into a specific political ideology. I have a very strong thought on my spirituality or religious beliefs and all sorts of things, right? As a lot of us do. But I really do try my best with my kids to say to them on a regular basis, like, don't take my word for it. Like, here's the things I've learned. This is the wisdom I can pass down to you. Do with it what you will, right? That's up to you. I'm here to teach you self-respect. I'm here to give you the tools to be able to, deal with the world and be able to navigate it and take care of yourself, right? But I always tell them, I always challenge them, like, listen, don't take everything I say and your mom says as, chiseled in fucking stone. That it's this concrete fucking foundation that you need to build everything on top of. Like, everything we say, if you think that it's bullshit, or if you even if you don't, like, you can research it yourself. I absolutely advocate for them to look elsewhere, to look to other figures as mentors, and to gain their own perspective on things, to research whatever religion. Like, if you're gonna go down that road spiritually, you should look into all of them. You should look into Christianity, Islam, Wiccan, whatever the fuck, right? Check them all out if you want, or whatever ones that immediately seem interesting to you. I'm not here to tell you to be an atheist, an agnostic, a fucking Buddhist. I'm not here for any of that shit. That's not my role as a parent. You shouldn't. I personally don't think you should be pushing your religious beliefs onto people. Let them organically find them. You can definitely show them that. You can definitely be like, hey, I'm not saying you can parent your fucking kid however you want. Okay? I'm not trying to fucking tell people how to raise their kids. I'm just saying, from my own personal viewpoint, I think ideally what we should do as parents is show kids the options and try to help them have the right tools to navigate those options, right? So that they become their own individuals. I don't want my kids to be Jason 2.0, right? I want them to be better than me, sure, because that's evolution. That's how it's supposed to work. They're supposed to learn from my mistakes and be a better version of me. But I want them to be a better version of me that is also themselves completely, right? I can pass down that wisdom, and they're not going to fucking listen in a lot of cases. They're just going to have to go through it themselves. We all do that. They always think your parents are stupid. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Things are different now, whatever. Okay, fine. It's always the same shit, but whatever. But I always implore my kids, please look elsewhere. Don't take everything I say as the law, because it isn't. Trust me. Fuck if I know. All I know is I can make things sound good, but that doesn't mean there's any merit behind the things that I say. It just means that I can articulate myself better than most when it comes to the bullshit things that I believe. So anyway, that's that. I mean, it's impossible to not talk about parenting when you're talking about this film, because that's kind of the whole message, is how dangerous that can be. So I don't know. If you're a parent, definitely think about the things you tell your kids. Are you making them just new versions of you, or are you letting them be themselves, right? Because when it comes to like religion or politics or any of those things, it is funny how a lot of kids, it's just like they don't even ever think about it. You know, people now in their adult age, I'm always just like, don't you find it kind of coincidental that you just so happen to be in the same denomination of church that your parents are in? Like, and you just so happen to think that's right, that you were just born into the right family, into the right mindset, right? Like, don't you think that's a little coincidental? Have you not explored at all? Maybe questioned a couple things, like gone out there and looked at anything else just to make sure, like, this is what you identify with? Most people haven't. Most people haven't. Their mom's a Christian, so they're a Christian. Their dad's a fucking Republican, so they're a Republican, or whatever. Right? That's typical behavior for a lot of people, and I'm just not that guy. I've never bought into tradition or any of that bullshit. Like, I don't give a fuck what my parents are into. I don't. Like, cool, that's you, and I'll talk to them about it, and we can have a back and forth, little powwow with one another. But other than that, I'm my own person, and I don't really care what everybody else thinks, honestly. But regardless, that's that. This gets me riled up. Watching something like this makes me want to just break this fucking dad in half. Because while I don't think I have the answer of what parenting should be, I know for sure this is what it shouldn't be. So I'll leave it at that. There is not a right way, but there sure as fuck is a wrong way. All right, guys. Let's see you in the comments. Adios.